In 2021, Formula One legend Lewis Hamilton said he wasn't interested in sim racing and that he believed it was not a beneficial experience. So why does the 7-time world champion hate the simulator when other drivers like Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris use it so much? Well, first things first, what is a racing simulator and why is it important? In recent years, especially during the COVID era, racing simulators have become kind of famous among racing drivers. Imagine getting behind the wheel, feeling every turn, bump and jolt as if you're on a real track, but all from the comfort of a high-tech setup. These simulators aren't just fancy video games, they're packed with advanced technology that gives drivers a true-to-life racing experience. Think of it as a virtual playground where drivers can master their skills without the risk of burning rubber or crashing cars. They can zip around digital replicas of famous circuits, getting to know every twist and turn before hitting the actual track. And the best part? The simulators use spot-on physics and visuals, so when drivers slam on the brakes or take a corner at high speed, it feels just like the real deal. For professional drivers, these simulators are like a training montage in a sports movie. They sharpen reaction times, fine-tune decision-making skills, and help drivers become one with the track. These simulators helped a lot of drivers to not lose their touch when they had stayed away from the track for a very long time. In a sport like racing, where a few seconds can determine the difference between winning and losing, reaction time is crucial. Drivers can practice their reaction times in various driving circumstances with simulators. Professional drivers need to be able to respond quickly enough to shift gears, brake, accelerate, and pass other vehicles. Drivers can practice these skills on simulators. Data analytics software installed in racing simulators records every facet of the driver's performance and offers feedback to help drivers do better behind the wheel. With the use of data analytics software, drivers can pinpoint areas for development and focus on particular talents by using information on lap timing, speed, braking spots, and other important driving factors. Drivers can assess their racing strategy and find opportunities to improve their performance with the use of data analytics software. The sport of professional racing is costly, and training expenses may mount up rapidly. Racing simulators can save teams a lot of money by providing an affordable substitute for conventional training techniques. It's simpler to train for certain events when drivers may spend extensive amounts of time in simulators rather than renting actual vehicles or tracks. Racing simulators provide drivers with an opportunity to hone their decision-making skills in a variety of scenarios, a crucial skill for racing. Drivers can test out various tactics in the simulation environment and learn from their errors without facing any real-world repercussions. Making smarter decisions on the race course could mean the difference between winning and losing, and this practice can help drivers do just that. When it comes to creating and configuring the car, F1 teams truly rely on the simulations to help them make critical decisions. Therefore, drivers must gain something from utilizing the simulators if the teams are using them to make important decisions about car development, setup adjustment, and race strategy. Even with 7 world titles under your belt, as a driver, why wouldn't you want to put in more practice? To be fair, Hamilton has some concerns about utilizing the simulator, and in some ways, he's correct. How does driving in the real world compare to the experience of a quality simulation? In fact, the feel of the steering wheel is pretty accurate. Wheel loading occurs exactly as it would in real life, and understeer and oversteer are also extremely evident. The throttle pedal and its response are largely similar to those of a proper car as well. But as the brake system is usually not that good, it can be hard to tell when you're about to lock up. With additional hardware, you can also feel engine vibrations, bumps, curbs and roll, although it is difficult to sense roll, dive, squat, and most importantly, G-force. These are all the things that real-world drivers absolutely adore and require to feel at their peak performance, and this is exactly what Hamilton feels the problem is. It's possible that you've watched videos of motion simulators, which are simulations mounted on numerous hydraulic rams and how the drivers are flung around the inside of a warehouse. However, you're never going to be able to replicate the sensation of turning into a corner at 190 miles an hour. Now imagine you're sitting in a simulator and you're turning into a corner, but you just go in a bit too quick and begin to lose the rear. What sensors are you going to use to detect this? Your eyesight is the first thing you use in a simulator. You may feel it in the steering wheel or hear the tyre audio, and you notice the horizon moving a little quicker than it should. But hear what Hamilton had to say about his problem with the sim in an interview. Lewis simply claimed that in contrast to the sim, your vision is one of the last senses to utilize in the real world to react to what the car is actually doing, and he's spot on. There are a lot more sensory inputs and details in a race car than in a simulation, the primary one being the little gyroscope located behind you. You can feel every aspect of the yaw as the car starts to slide. Naturally, you can also sense this via the steering wheel, hear it with the shifting engine tone and see the direction shift just a little bit, all of which the sim can very accurately replicate. But the most important thing for a racing driver is that feeling in your body, which is absolutely not there. But nowadays, F1 teams use the simulators to assess their car and set it up before each race. So, if a driver opts to not use the simulator, can it affect their performance during the race? Well, yes and no. While using the simulator can help the team develop the car and help the driver focus better, it can also train your brain to react in a way that will not work out in a real F1 race. But last year, Hamilton did return to simulation due to his growing concerns about the car. He noted that he had stopped using simulators regularly because he didn't find them beneficial, particularly in comparison to real-world driving. However, as Formula One teams increasingly relied on simulators for car development, Hamilton admitted he needed to spend more time in them to stay competitive. He described the experience as something he wasn't particularly fond of, but recognized it as a necessary part of modern F1 preparation and development. While delving into this matter, it's important to note that they cannot force a driver like Hamilton to do simulations, as he could adapt to any circuit at any given time due to his vast racing experience. But if he wants the car to be better, adapt to his driving style, and pull out his best performances, he needs to continue doing sim races, as it would help the team out a lot in building the perfect car setup for him. Just look at Max Verstappen. He's one of the best sim drivers in the world right now, while also winning the World Championship for 3 years in a row. The main thing is that on all the simulator platforms, I race non-Formula One cars, Verstappen told the Washington Post. So you have to be adaptive and change your driving style, since every car demands something else as far as steering input, throttle and driving lines. I'm constantly learning and adapting to what I need to do in each car to go as quickly as possible. At the end of the day, that helps you when you go back to Formula One, because you have all of this experience in the back of your mind. Sometimes you might not be entirely happy with the setup of your Formula One car, but you can draw on all of your different experiences in the simulator. In response to the suggestion that this makes him a more well-rounded racer, Verstappen said, "That's exactly what I'm trying to achieve." Despite this, Verstappen acknowledges that there are some big differences between sim racing and Formula One. "You really do miss the G-force," the Red Bull driver said in regards to the adaptation from real-life F1 to being on the sim. "And in real racing, a lot relies on what you feel through the wheel. I must say though that simulators are getting quite accurate. I would say it's now 90% accurate to a real race car." Verstappen believes that making the step in the other direction, from sim racing to real-life racing, is a difficult one. "I still think that for people who grew up only using a simulator, it's quite a big step to go straight into real-world racing," he added. "But we've seen that happen before, so nothing is impossible." Another key difference is there is a certain physicality to real racing. You need to be fit and well trained. On a simulator, even if you don't have that, you can still manage to be quick. So what do you think about the simulator? Does it benefit the driver enough to do it every weekend? Let us know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content.